Hello, everybody. Sorry for the late start. Yes, I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've done, actually more than a month since the Paranormals and Coffee, but you can't really blame us. The schedules of folk that are in this field are oftentimes kind of iffy, and usually there are things that pop up that they must handle. Now, as for myself, I was actually handling a little bit of a vacation, like Joel is on right now, and an attempt to try and enjoy some family time, unfortunately in some of the wrong places on this planet, like Knott's Berry Farm. That's not to say Knott's Berry Farm is a horrible place. It isn't. It's far from it. Very enjoyable. But when you're dealing with monsoonal weather and almost 100 degrees, it's sort of like being trapped in a sauna about 2 inches from the surface of the sun. And everybody was dragging that day. My wife was extremely tired. After the first day, my eldest son was walking like somebody had decided to set an elephant on his shoulders. And the only one who had any energy was our 7-year-old. Of course, because he could literally bounce off the walls. All you got to do is give him a mouthful of breakfast cereal. And so we decided we were going to come home a little bit early, but we still went all these different places that we could, the ocean, etc. Lots of places that we could enjoy a very spiritual and bonding situation with the family. And this led rise to me realizing I really do have the perfect alternative to always trying to get new people on the show, because you guys don't know us very well, and you really don't know me as well as you possibly could. And in my eldest son, you probably can have a sort of a snapshot of who I was at that time, less all the abuse. And I say that right up front because you're going to go, well, if it's the same thing, didn't your parents, like, yeah, well, all of them did, but I'll let Trevor explain that to you. But my son, whom I love very, very much, I gave him a very special name, Trevor, which means wise. And also because I named him after the eldest of the vampire killers from the Belmont family, because I'm that much of a gamer geek. Live with it. I'm cool that way, and so is he. So, everybody can unmute themselves. Welcome to Paranormals and Coffee number, I can't remember. So.
Hello,
Hello,
Sonia.
everybody.
Hello.
So now
Hello.
Hi.
And that's my son, Trevor.
Uh-oh.
And
Oh,
Sonia's
I
here.
thought that was Sonya.
Oh, Sonia was here.
Sonia, what a deep voice you have.
That'll be another Mel Brooks. Nobody know the trouble I see. I didn't know she was a bass. Nobody know but Jesus.
Oh.
So now, if we have any questions, or because I don't, I admit I know this kid. He's been living with me for 17 years. I've known him for 17 and a quarter.
Are you sure you don't have any more questions?
So you guys,
I'm sure there's a couple.
We got you. Well, if I have questions, I'll be off air. Like, what did you do now?
I was going to say, I hope you don't have any questions. You just know him. He's your son.
So this is all for you guys to be able to ask him anything about how he's gotten from point A to point B. Now, Joel and I know our point A to point B, and it was kind of rocky and figuring a lot of things out. And I don't want to say that my son ended up in Hogwarts or anything in this household, but he did have a lot of extra special experience that was able to...
Shh, you can't tell them all the secrets. You can't tell them I went to Hogwarts.
Oh.
Don't lie. You didn't go to Hogwarts. We went to Hunter Academy.
Yeah, okay.
That's more of what's going on in our household is Hunter Academy. Just saying.
Hunter. Yeah. Oh, Hunter. Yeah, Hunter. He said. Sounded like you said Haunter for crying out loud. My head is in Pokemon right now. Can you tell? I was about to say, Jesus Christ, Haunter Academy? What about Gengar and Ghastly? But my brain is just not... Yesterday was
Ghastly
Eevee
ideal.
Day. Today is Eevee Day, believe it or not. So if you want to get your extra Stardust in, now's your chance for the next, 3 hours? It started an hour ago, so 2 hours left. Go get
I need
Eevees.
to try.
Yeah. Okay, so for those of you who have questions for Trevor, I will mute myself and do my best not to jump in, and off we go. Don't everybody start at once, or else I'm going to have to cue the crickets.
Oh, boy. Well.
Now tree frogs. Cute tree frogs.
Sonia, are you being quiet because you're giggling, or are you being quiet because you haven't got any idea what to ask?
I think she's muted.
Yeah, that's what she usually does. She mutes
Yeah.
herself when people are loud in her house. Scottish household with a partly deaf Dumbledore dad. He's brilliant at a lot of the stuff he does, but he's deaf and he doesn't leave his teeth in, so he's like the Safari Zone warden. She can understand him. So, Trevor, why don't you tell us a little about your gifts then? Because they're going to want to know which ones you got and which one you don't got.
Well, I don't know where to exactly start on that, but I can tell you.
Here's the best place to start. No lip farts on air. So, and then from there on, we're good.
I don't have exact sight of things. I'm not as gifted as you two. At best, I can see background count and outlines of figures. Maybe. I know I can move, create energy, blah blah, but I don't have the whole perfect sight thing. Oh look, it's the demon with red goat horns and all that, and right over there.
Oh no, you're mistaking us for
Yeah, that's
Zach
just your
Bagans.
pa.
That's not us. That's Zach Bagans.
Yeah.
It's the devil, mama. No, the closest I got was that creation that decided to menace poor Aisha and it stood up. That one freaked me out for a couple of seconds, but it definitely wasn't red. It did have horns. And the one demon S that we faced, she didn't have horns. She wasn't red either.
I also can't do the out-of-body stuff, so be it astral stuff or mental projection or whatever you want to do or say, I can't do that.
Oh, that's mostly experience, unfortunately. That's stuff that... Oh, Joel sneezing. That's stuff that Joel and I learned to do later on at need. You have never had that need, unfortunately. You've been without needing to accomplish certain things. So that's the reason why I wanted to get you into this, because experience teaches best. Or if you want to go with Gandalf saying, the burnt hand teaches best. Well, we're hoping we're not going to go that way.
Well, it seemed to work for Eric. I mean, you know, he burned his hand on that barbecue. He's fucking frightened of him. Pardon my language.
But that's we don't want you scared of it. We want you learning and getting experience. Aisha, are you back yet?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, did you have any questions for Trevor? Since this is Paranormals and Coffee, everybody gets to chime in.
So how did he find out that he have any gift at all?
Well, that would be kind of from him telling me. Though I would say that I kind of knew it on accident, in more the sense that, hey, look, look, Dad, there's something over there next to the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Oh yes, son, it's definitely there. But I didn't know it was a ghost, like ghost, like not the ghost in the attraction ghost sort of thing.
And this is, I have to jump in here. That whole seeing thing, where he says, I can't really see, that was times when he could see. Since the things are as real as, the ghost can't appear as real as a normal human, he didn't know that he was seeing ghosts sometimes, and that's why he would ask me. In fact, when the ghost of Fess Parker walked by, I didn't even know it was, I thought it was somebody trying to look like Fess Parker, the guy who played Davy Crockett in the Disney movie shows. When we were at Frontierland, I wouldn't have known it was not a lookalike, except that his legs were gone because of my cataracts. I couldn't see his legs, and so because of that, I was able to tell Trevor, oh, those are ghosts. How are they ghosts, Daddy? I don't know. I don't know how they're here, which was interesting.
I wonder if he know how rare that is to actually have a parent to understand him and not treat him as if he's mentally ill.
Well, I can definitely say I do know it's rare, because I mean, this whole case is definitely rare to begin with. But I do know it's rare to have somebody who would be supportive of it and know what's going on. So I know that.
Do
which is
you happen
just
to have any friends who are into this, who parents won't listen to them?
No, not really. I don't have any friends that go that have any, or at least any that are major spiritual beliefs. So no,
Hmm.
I did have a friend long time ago who at best was like really believed in ghosts and all that, but to put it lightly, she was cuckoo in the brain and not a very nice person. So that didn't last very long.
Is Sonya back yet? I'm just curious.
Hold on
back.
hold on for a second. I gotta mute myself. There's a cat trying to get out of my room.
Oh Lord. Am I coming through okay? Because it keeps on not showing me that I'm speaking very loudly.
you're coming in pretty clear.
Okay, am
Coming
I
in pretty
loud or
clear.
just clear?
Perfect for me.
All right. So. Yeah,
Sorry,
more than
I'm
likely.
trying to get my head. I'm trying to get my head out of work mode, so we don't have the same cock up again.
Ah.
Uh,
Well, we just thought it was your dad being loud or something in the background.
No, he's off driving the car somewhere. Freak knows where he's going. He just goes, I'm popping out of the car and he just disappears for God knows how long.
Okay, I'm back.
All right. So, more questions for Trevor?
so, how have you noticed your gifts influencing your life or your day to day?
Well, that's a tough one because for the most part, I wouldn't say it fully does, but I do notice like there are certain aspects that it's affected. A minor one I would say is, I think this is also more teaching from Dad, in that I have a more a heightened appreciation for nature and stuff. But secondly, I think it's also common in people that don't have gifts, but I can tell it happens more often to me, and that you have those dreams where it's like, oh, it's real life, and then you wake up and maybe not that day, but maybe a week from now, it's like, oh wait, I know what's happening. I literally had a dream about this happening, sort of thing, or other stuff as well. There are certain, like 2 times I know of where I had feelings about certain events going on that led me to go, I think I'll stay wary of that and do the stay away from that. Like, let's say there's a party or something. It's just an example. I can't exactly remember it fully. It's like, well, I'm not going to that. I know that'll be a disaster, sort of thing.
And for Joel and I, that actually is kind of telling, because we used to be having those dreams and stuff where we'd know to avoid X or Y or go and do this or that, and and then it would eventually commuted into waking awareness, where we'd know, like I'd be out with Joel doing something, and then I realized, oh wait, I got to go home, and I'm needed right now, and we'd go back because my mother would have to go off on an emergency call for the Red Cross, and so I had to be at home to make sure I took care of the animals, etc.
I remember there was. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I remember there was one time where it was some school thing. I don't remember what school I was in at the time, but we had to drive to this school, and there was a side area, and there would be this teacher that would help you out. I didn't stay there long. The point being, I had a dream about being there, and then something got in my eyes that is like, oh no, it hurts, it stings, gotta get a paper towel. Fast forward, and then that event starts to unfold. usually when those sort of dream to life things would happen, I'd change it for the sake of whatever. Like it's usually I'm in a car and then we're driving somewhere, and then it's pretty boring to change anything because it's just life happening. But in this case, it was actually somewhat, I wouldn't say major because nothing super big happened out of it, but I actually did get something in my eyes, and the teacher had to get paper towels, which she didn't really have, which I found really dumb. Point being, let's just say I acted like an idiot because I don't know why I did this, but I realized, okay, this happened in my dream. Maybe something will happen if I change it. So I waved my hand around, which I didn't do before, and then I started asking for something to clear my eyes out more often than in the dream or something. And I remember that because I felt like an idiot beforehand because, wait a second, I should have been able to stop this before it happened because I knew the steps that took place up until that I got the, I don't remember if it was like soap or something in my eyes. Point being is that I should have known, I should have listened that I shouldn't have rubbed my eyes or something. And I should have stopped it beforehand instead of making some vain attempt in, oh, well, maybe she'll get it faster if I start changing things by acting different, like a dummy and waving my hand or something. Like, because that's different.
So learning to change change the events in the wrong way. That's very Marty McFly. So, Marty, we're gonna have to go and change this the other way. So you Marty McFly'd yourself. Come on, Doc. So yeah, you haven't asked anything. She's on mute again.
What's up with her?
I think she's trying to get her headphones in, but she's also trying to get her head out of work. The last time she was still thinking about work, we asked her a question. She said, "Let me go check the register." No joke. I'm trying not to laugh. I know what that's like after working retail for so many years. Like, let me go check the register and see what it says. Yes, the all-knowing register. Oh.
It's so funny. Luckily for me, I have that 30-minute drive, or actually more like 20-minute drive, to decompress from work.
Sorry, I just kind of stopped being stood on, so I just had to relocate.
Did she say somebody was standing on her? I specifically heard stood on.
Yes,
Who
I
was
was being
standing on
stood
you?
on, yes. Paul's mum. Because she was trying to get past, so she thought the idea was to stand on me.
Okay, I'd be going, get off my back, bitch. Seriously, somebody's standing on you?
No, she was standing on like my foot, not my actual back. She's trying to get past. Didn't give me
see,
chance
that's
to
slightly
scoot
better.
out the way.
Now, if she's as big as Harry Potter's aunt, then we're in trouble.
No, she's a fairly scrawny woman. She calls herself fat, but I've seen toenail clippings with more fat on.
I don't even want to know. Okay, so really, that's very disturbing. The whole image, fat.
As a nurse, that's pretty great.
That's just. There's part of me that wants to run screaming into the night. So, Sonia, you got any questions for Trevor? Sorry,
I'm trying to think, but my brain's slowly going like, nope.
I think, but nothing happens.
Yeah, the cogs are like stuck at like work mode.
So
just
Trevor,
like labeling stuff.
So then here's what we're gonna do. Okay, tell them the time when you finally realized about the. Okay, well let me preface this. Joel and I, when we first started talking about stuff, one of the things that came up, and Joel, this is going to be a blast from the past, we started talking about things that we would see that we couldn't control, but that we were pretty sure was not something that was being sent our way, but they would just be there when we were younger, and we discussed Forbidden Planet with Leslie Nielsen and Walter Pidgeon. Remember that? Monsters from the id. Because we realized that our own bad intentions or negative repressed emotions would manifest, or our fears, etc. Things from the id, from the back of the mind, the brain, the part that we don't actually. It's an instinctual level. When you have somebody who's gifted, they can manifest, and it happens in every gifted person's life. Now, just recently, and by just recently I mean less than a week ago, my youngest son Eric started having that problem, and Trevor, he had that problem many years ago, and I want him to explain this because he's the closest to its occurrence, and actually might give Aisha some insight into why that girl was able to do what she could do and she wasn't conscious of it. So, Trevor, take it away. Tell us about that time.
Well, I wouldn't say it's just a time. I mean, we're talking like full on, almost a few months. While we were living at my dad's mom's house, just, I don't know why, but I had this horrible fear of going out there into like the den, the kitchen, all that room. I couldn't tell you. Well, I mean, I can tell you why, but in the moment, it's like I was split between I know I'm being silly at the same time. Oh, but there's something there, and in the stupidest way. Okay, I know Dad told a story about like his sister and her having this fear about this stupid pig thing in the window, and I thought that was stupid. I laughed at it, but in the same sense, right? I still had a semi fear of still something, not in the window and it being a pig, but something in the house.
Wait, pardon me. Sorry, hold on a second. That would be my sister's fear of Jody from the Amityville movie, the Jody that really existed. But she saw the movie and it freaked her out. She could never look out a window into the dark, and to this day she still can't. She's terrified of it. Sorry, but I told Trevor that story, and I shouldn't have, because seeing the windows in my mom's that house, it used to be my room because it was Lisa's room at one time, and it reminded me of it because I thought it was funny that we were going to be in the house where a lot of crazy crap happened, and we were dealing with an energy in the house that wasn't mine anymore for the first time since Trevor was born. Sorry, go ahead, son.
Well, I laughed at it too, but apparently I guess some part of me still thought there was some validity in being scared. At least a part of being scared to this house. Let's get to the main point. I seem to have been making fear things in the dark. Now, I couldn't exactly see what they were. And even when near the end of this whole thing, Dad was asking me where they were and what they looked like, I was really just guessing, but I knew there was things there. And, well, going back a bit, I had to go to the bathroom, or be it I had to get a drink or whatever. I didn't want to go out there. I wouldn't do it to the point where I would, pee myself or something, but it was definitely like, oh no, I don't want to go out there. And, I would have to like, what's the word? Like psych myself up or get myself ready and rush over to the bathroom or something. And I know the biggest thing I saw was that, back door. It's this glass sliding door. Anyways, I was getting myself a drink of water. Doesn't matter what time it is. It was just nighttime. And I was walking away, and I swear to God, I thought I saw a dog. And now I was pretty sure that our dog Phelan was. I believe he was out there. he slept out there, whatever, because he couldn't be brought in the house. But it didn't look like him. And for some reason, in that moment, I was... Because after close inspection, the ears didn't look right. And then, despite it just being a dog, I got scared and I rushed back and I realized, wait, I left my cup out there. So I told Dad, and I believe he started to laugh, and he said that was one of his old dogs' ghost or something, and he brought me back up there.
Yeah, because Phelan at the time was locked into the carpentry shop. He couldn't get out, so we have to lock him in at night, and he would be able to get out during the day, so he could go run around and go to the restroom, etc. But he was otherwise locked into the carpentry shop at night for 8 hours to sleep on a nice bed, and so Trevor couldn't have seen Phelan, and also Phelan was off-white marshmallow color, and the dog that he saw was what?
It's like blackish gray or something. I couldn't tell the color really, but it wasn't really the color. It was mainly the shape of the face and whatnot.
Now the funny part about this is, remember at the beginning of the show he says, "I can't see," and yet he could see that. So it's experience that'll get him to understand that he is seeing already. He just doesn't know what he's seeing. And I can't remember if your description at the time was of either Shadow or Bon Bon. One of my mom's 2 dogs, and so that's what he saw.
Well, I thought it was Shadow, because I remember you came out there and it was it was Shadow.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was Shadow.
More than likely it was Shadow, because she was the one who really liked hanging around people the most. Bon Bon was to take or leave people, and Shadow was.
I wasn't around, but I'm pretty sure it was Shadow, judging by the energy you two are giving off. Just saying.
And that's when you're in an environment that a gifted person hasn't learned how to sway the energy one way or the other. You can ask Joel if you want, anybody here, or he will chime in. That the inside of that house had a lot of spirits, whether it was my mother's father, who was in the living room. A lot. That was one of the other places.
The glass is floating.
Adrian was actually sleeping in that room. Joel, she was in there, and she said she always felt like somebody was in there with her. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to explain this one until after we're gone from here. And when I eventually did, she was like, oh, okay. I didn't feel menaced. I'm like, well, you wouldn't have felt menaced. He was just, he's in there. And the rest of the house was the former owners that was a guy named Joseph Morton of the property. His mother had died on that property, so yeah, we did. To this day, it's still kind of scarred from that. And then you have a lady who died of cancer in the house where I grew up when I was a little boy, which was part of the duplex on the right. So there's a lot of energy involved in that place, and it was all chaotic and hangover. So poor Trevor, because this place wasn't someplace I had been able to clean and prepare, nor had anybody attempted it since I was a little boy. It's going to reflect stuff and power up things, and things would appear just at random because I hadn't done anything to keep it safe. And so that now leads into Trevor, when we lived at the 206th and here, tell the difference between the places.
How so? Like spiritually, or like?
Yeah, experience-wise, spiritually stuff. Like, I don't want to put words in your mouth for the 206, but here I know I've definitely kept things pretty quiet.
I see. Well, I definitely know that there was a lot more things happening at the 206 place, and I think that could be like chalked up to the fact that it was like a multi house thing, and that it stretched out.
Triplex. It's a triplex.
But I know that there was a lot of major events, some of which I don't remember or maybe weren't around for, like the thing that happened to Adrian and whatnot. But comparatively to that and the compared to the events that happened there to here, it's been a lot quieter. I can't really say from my experience wise, since I was very young at the 206 place, and that's kind of iffy because depending on where my life was, like you can say, because I could see the stuff at Disneyland pretty easily, apparently, but the stuff now, I see iffy, I guess. I don't know.
Well, not exactly iffy, but just that in this house, I have done my best to make sure that this is like a bubble in a storm. So there isn't very much to see. Truthfully speaking, if it's not the elementals moving around or chunk in a doorway, you're not really going to see all that much. And
Right.
Even little E sees him now as he's decided that he wants to look like Totoro in order to make him feel better because he's had his event. Now, I'm going to steer the conversation for a second because this is kind of funny. As I sat down and realized that this is like, you know, when you have kids, you have to have the talk. Eventually, you're going to have the talk. And everybody knows what I'm talking about, the talk. But the talk, when you're dealing with a gifted kid, is not the talk. It's talking about their gifts and being able to control their id and what they see. The other one's easy relatively because at the 206 place when we lived in Harbor Gateway, I had to sit Trevor down and explain to him these things that would appear, and he actually would go on the hunt to destroy them. And he doesn't remember this much because it happened when he was 7, which is about the same age as my littlest one right now. And I had to teach him how to deal with the energy he could move, and because of this, he became ridiculously good at moving energy, like his old man. And I think it was right about that time he discovered his love of, Joel, wait for it, anime and Dragon Ball. So I got it.
Wait. It wasn't Dragon Ball. I didn't get into Dragon Ball until many years later. It was...
Yes, I understand because we didn't have access to it. But the whole point was that it was anime, and eventually Dragon Ball was part of it. So I had a very easy in to explaining a lot of things because it's very simple to change being able to move ki to being able to move energy. Joel, I know you unmuted yourself because you want to say something, so jump right in.
I was about to say, geeks unite, we roll the world. We make the stuff everybody loves to use. Just saying, okay.
So because of this easy way of being able to reference that sort of thing, Trevor became whiz-bang awesome at it. And recently, when Diane was in need, Joel made a necklace, which we named the Eye, because it looks a little bit like a small version of the Eye of Akamoto, trademarked for Marvel, but they can't sue us because we didn't make it look exactly like that. So, and Trevor and I energized it for Diane. And that was kind of an experience. So, Trevor, did you want to put any words on how that event occurred, how it felt?
You
don't have to be specific. Just explain a little of what it was like. Just brush on it. Don't go in depth because there's not going to be many people will be able to understand the. I'm saying this just because if you go too in deep, they're going to be like, go deeper. And I really would just like to be just hit it real shallow and leave it for a proper video later.
Okay. So, essentially, we were putting in the energy, and the main thing that I noticed was that when I think, oh, I will move this energy, I think it's going to feel, because it usually does, it feels a little tingly and whatnot, or it feels like like crackling energy or something. But it just felt like effortless. I didn't feel like the tingly stuff and whatnot. It just felt like, okay, there it goes. It just shooting off of me. It didn't feel like anything major.
Like water flowing.
Or like air dispersing off something.
Exactly. And Joel, I know you got to say something about that. I know you, because I'm waiting for you to say it, to jump in.
Oh, I wasn't going to jump in. I was curious about that, because remember the first thing I asked is like, so what was it like when you guys finished? What was it like as soon as you guys finished? Because remember I was saying that it was, I was curious to, like, if you guys felt the vibration or heard anything when you guys were done. Like, the instant you knew you was done, did you experience anything? What was that?
I can't remember what I told you, because at the time I was so wrapped up in getting it done and getting it to Diane. But I know we told you what happened at the end.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you said you felt it go out, but that piece was
well, it felt like the thing turned its like it started to vibrate. It turned like sort of like a cloaking thing to try and get it hid, as well as there was like up one side and on the other, away from the centerpiece, there were like runes inside it, or some kind of sigil that were glowing and giving off an effect, which was like hide me, heal me, which was when we were done, we were like, okay, Trevor and I touched the eye to solidify the effect, and all of a sudden went boing and made a tone. Sorry, with my phlegmy voice, you can't hear it. It was like dong, and it was like, okay, I think we're finished.
Yeah, the clearing bell. Yeah. And
we got little E sitting in my grandfather's chair, waving his wand at it, because he's throwing stars at it. He's still at that stage. Of course, this was before he was watching Pokemon with Greninja throwing the water stars and stuff, and he's amped up his pain factor a little bit. So, yeah. Sonia, got any questions?
I did have fun. Now it's gone.
Oh.
It's really hard to think.
Oh my gosh, that's 150% Dick Tracy. I'm having a thought. It's coming. It's coming.
Leave you alone.
It's gone. I've got, that's another one I got to put on the soundboard. I got to put back on my phone, along with crickets and the tree frogs. So I think, but nothing happens, and I'm having a thought. But we tease Sonia because we love her. Aisha, you got any questions? I know that since you've got a gifted daughter, I know you're probably curious as hell about a lot of things.
Yeah, when you guys talk about the fact that you see your dogs back there, what type of spirit is that? That dog spirit still stick around when they're dead?
Oh, that would be Shadow. Was a part Labrador, part sheepdog mix. She was very protective of the house and very protective of my mother. But you have to remember that it wasn't really her that Trevor was seeing, because he was sending out energy randomly. That's the whole point of the controlling your id. If you send out energy randomly because of your gifts, which is what he did, which is what happens to most of us, especially the boys in my family, they power up things, old memories in the neighborhood. They're called stone recordings, and I used to get them all the time. In fact, the one of the ghosts I was seeing in England, which was of an air raid warden, was actually a stone recording. Basically, my energy would go out into the neighborhood and would activate this person. He would travel through the neighborhood to make sure that everybody's lights were off and their windows were covered, etc., during an air raid, in order to make sure that they stayed safe. And it would activate the recording of his passing and constantly going back and forth in the neighborhood. It wasn't really a ghost; it was just a memory, and that's what Trevor was activating. His energy would go out and jumpstart a memory, and he could see it. It was like a ghost.
These people who actually pass away and be trying to hold on to these homes that they used to live into, where do they go when people cleanse the house out and put them out?
They get forced over to the other side or into a quandary, one of the two. Or, and it's very rare, if they really refuse, they'll start wandering and they'll just wander the world. But that's I've never even heard of that actually being seen, except in the cases of like what they call highway ghosts. But they usually died near a highway. I've never heard of a haunting commuting to a traveling ghost. They usually just get punted into the next world. Were you going to say something, Sonia?
Yeah, I've got a question, and I'm going to say it before it disappears, goes for a walk.
Oh boy.
Quick before it falls away.
You're not helping. So do you think you've had an easier time with having somebody who's gifted, who's open to talk about it, unlike certain people? I know, one person.
I would imagine so. I mean, that's kind of an obvious yes, since if I had just had someone who said, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just the shadows that make the perfect shape of the old woman with the hatchet in her hand. Don't worry about that. It's perfectly fine. Go back to bed. If you wake up with scratches and scars, it's you just turned around in bed too hard or something." So yeah, I definitely say that I had an easier time.
Do you still have problems with your id creating things from time to time? Because I know, like, I'll put it out there, and I know this is gonna sound weird, but I do. It's one of the reasons why I use my bell chime as often as I do. After a while, I have issues with it, and they kind of are used as guardians. Like if I really want to move a lot of energy, I have to deal with that issue before I can move the energy. So,
I wouldn't
with
say
that in mind, do you do it?
I wouldn't say I have problems moving energy. To be fair, I don't do it that often, or for Uber.
He was asking. I don't know if you could hear, but he said, "Do you have trouble with your id creating stuff that you can see that you have troubles with, like when you were a kid, the little like the monsters under your bunk that you were hunting?"
Well, have I ever had problems with it?
No, recently. Have you recently been having troubles? Or did once you got past it, you were past it when you were a kid? Is what he was asking.
Yeah,
Does it continue? Does it continue?
Well, no. I haven't had problems with it past a point. To be fair, I don't use it that often or for that long of a period. However, I don't. When I do use it, I don't have a big problem with it, moving it, whatever. Obviously, sight, I've already said my thing about that, but I do see the general shape and feeling and whatever about it, and I know what I'm trying to make and create and whatnot. So it doesn't come very difficult to me.
No, he doesn't understand because it's not happening to him, Joel. Once I realized what I was going on with me. I was able to control it fairly easily and focus my mind. That's one of the things that I taught Trevor, and I have to work with Eric on, is focusing the mind to be able to dislodge the id things that try to pop up. The only time that I've had a problem like that in the last 10 or 15 years was when I had seen stuff that had made me um, relived bad events when I was a kid, and like the oh my gosh, the Room 208 thing in The Shining, the miniseries with the lady, and that it took me forever not to be able to walk into a bathroom and she would be there in the bathtub because my mind was creating her and I'd have to drain the energy out of it. But Trevor doesn't have that occur, so that's why he's not understanding what you mean
Yeah.
exactly. So
I think
that's why I had to translate.
the
Sorry, I had to step in.
no, that's perfect. I realize. I think one of the reasons why I still have issues is because I deal with um, human tragedy so much that some of that stuff just kind of creeps in. So I always constantly am clearing my space when I need to. Not only that, but I'm always in people's um, interpersonal energy space as a nurse, like constantly.
Yeah, and the fact that you're a shaman and you have to stay pretty open to that, and the path that Trevor is following with me is about owning your space and controlling it, and that's when it goes out of control is when we're really it's a comfort zone thing. I think it's what we're used to. Like you're used to clearing it, and we're used to controlling it. And when it goes out of control, we have to approach it from different vectors. But it all ends up the same in the end.
Yeah.
So, why do I hear music? That's weird. Okay, so anybody got any other questions? We're about 5 minutes out from the end of this. Hey, Trevor, you could actually ask a question of any of the people here if you wanted to also. It's a bit of back and forth if you like.
I don't really have a question to ask, honestly.
All right, just was curious if you had any. Aisha,
Like, what anime am I watching?
That's not exactly pertaining to supernatural, to be fair.
Actually, a lot of the stuff I do watch has supernatural implications.
Well, same
I
here.
realize, like, some of the things I watch, I'm attracted to the things that
Mhm.
explain some of the supernatural activities that I do. Like, I just got finished watching um, Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
Mm.
Okay. I'm kind of curious what anime this was all of a sudden.
I know what it is. I know what
it's
it
a great
is.
show. It's a great show. It's literally a fantastic show, and the hero kind of reminds me of you in a way, Sean. But the thing about it is the what reminded me of makes me think about metaphysics is the way that the um, goddess she acts kind of like as a healer, and it reminds me of Reiki a lot. But
Mm.
she, as the hero goes out and do all this stuff, when he comes back in, she sets his, she helps heals him so his body could accept his experiences better. And as she does it, his more of his gifts opens up. And I never thought about doing that in that way, but or in that aspect. But Reiki is about taking the energy and the experiences that a person have and reintegrating them into the physical form,
Hmm.
aligning that energy up to them. And so, yeah, like some of the shows I watch that I'm attracted to have like a lot of that aha moments in it when I watch it, which I know goes the same for you and Trevor.
Yeah. Sonia unmuted herself, so I'm guessing she's got something she wants to say.
Like, get that question out before it goes on a walkabout.
Get it out, get it out. Come on. Express it.
No.
And there it goes.
Mm.
It's so easy to set her off. I swear. It's a minor
It's so
funny.
much
Here
fun.
comes the giggle. She's done. It's over. In real
No,
life,
just
people like that have
thinking,
tickle spots everywhere. You just want to hit all of them just to see how they squirm. Sorry, go ahead.
Now it's gone. Thanks. No, I just think it's just.
My God. Sorry. Go ahead.
My brain's so flighty today. No, it's just talk about animes. I've just been watching one, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord,
Hmm.
and that kind of
That
thing.
just came across my feed. I was thinking about watching that.
It is. It's funny, but like I said, it's just like it's so random. It's like kind of random because it just starts off like the an elf and I want to say half cat, half human summons a guy from the real world, but he's a gamer. So he's basically like World of Warcraft, but and he just starts off. He just freaks out the whole time. Like he can't. He's never talked to anybody, so he doesn't know how to talk to girls. So it just comes out really weirdly, like, and
Oh,
stuff. And part of it is they're using a spell. Because I'm up to I think it's episode 8 or something like that, where they basically tried to summon a beast, and they summoned him instead, but he's in his demon lord costume. But then they tried to put this like sleeve collar on him so he had to do as they say. But because he has a ring on him, it's reversed it, so they've ended up casting it on themselves.
That's pretty
And
messed up.
to get it off,
Oh, this is one of those harem style anime. Oh my.
to actually get it off, he has to learn to like manipulate this kind of energy, and you see it like it's like linked up and stuff, and he has to learn to focus it to pass it through him to her to actually break the collar, sort of thing.
Okay,
That's
well,
the only thing I was thinking.
last questions for Trevor so that we can end the show, hopefully on a high note, something good.
Oh boy, don't disappoint this one.
yeah, I
Don't everybody
know.
jump. Don't everybody jump in at once.
Have you actually found
thanks for
any
that, Yoda.
friends that are, that has the same ability or some type of ability like you have? You see how your dad found Joel, so he's a little bit more comfortable with having a friend to talk to. Do you have a friend in your age group that you found that you can talk to about things like this?
Honestly, no. I've never found anyone that's remotely close to what I can do. I mean, it's hard to find somebody that believes in this sort of thing, let alone find somebody that who even has the same abilities or believes in using the abilities like that.
And he means in his age group because obviously
I
mean, I'm not saying not all you don't exist. I'm just saying, if for me, friend group, personal life.
It's not like a lack of existence, son. It's like a lack of being able to come to me. So I'm just making sure that everybody understands. Yes, you do come to me.
Yes.
Well, it's just someone your age is not happening.
He answered that pretty good. I got you, Trevor. I heard it.
Yeah, I understood.
Yeah.
No, this is for the audience. This is not for all. This is for the audience that will be listening and going, well, doesn't your dad help you? Oh,
for the less intelligent group. But no. It's yeah. No offense meant. Yes.
Yeah.
What was the last?
But
good luck. I hope you find somebody in your age group.
What was the most? Okay, now, Trevor, this is going to be a big one to finish on a big note. Now, what was the biggest metaphysical event you've been part of that I took you along on and things happened that you remember? Now, I remember all of them, but I don't know which one you counted the most highly. So I want you to tell the audience, and then we'll close the show out, and that'll be that.
Oh boy. Well, the biggest would. I mean, there hasn't really been one that's generally huge, to be fair, since we haven't really done a lot of outings. I'd say the biggest would probably be the going to the broken down I wouldn't even say broken down. It's just all basically all gone insane asylum area. Because that was the one of the few times where it was just going there for the sake of seeing if there was ghosts and whatnot. And there was definitely stories to be told about that, but nothing especially major happened there, which in one way can be good, in the other it's extremely boring. But I'm pretty sure you've already told the story about it before, but I'd say that's to be the biggest outing we've had, going there with Grandpa and Mom and Eric in the car, and then we walked around.
They're going to want to hear it from your point of view, what you saw, what you felt, because I've already told them what I saw. I can't say what you saw from your point of view or from your vision. I do know that your grandpa, and this is funny, and God forgive me, okay, he said, "Oh yeah, I can see ghosts." No, you can't, because there's been like 4 occasions where we walked past them together, and I'm looking at him to see if he's looking at the ghost and going, "Nope, he's not noticing that one." Especially when we went to the graveyard, but he wanted to go to the insane asylum, and I'm like, "Oh, goody, Trevor's gonna enjoy this one." So, what happened from your perspective, son?
Well, from my perspective, we drove there. We parked the car. You made your comments about Chunk. We went there. We started walking across there. Grandpa went off on his own to the left. We went right. You made a comment about all the people. Steering clear of us, around us.
Yes, but what did you see? Not what did I say? What did you feel? What did you see?
Well,
we're going to have to get into that one, because the whole point of expressing what you're seeing is what's interesting to the audience and gives them the most experience enabling perspective.
Well, that's my problem, because I already mentioned I don't see a lot, because I could tell there was a heavy, like almost suffocatingly high background count through the whole area.
Pause. That's the kind of thing that they're interested in. That is actually perspective I would give as well. That's seeing or sensing. So when I say what you see, what you sense, that all counts. So give them that information, because that is what they want to know. They don't want to just hear it from me. You weren't on the show when I explained all this stuff. So they want to know from an unbiased perspective what you were feeling, because trust me, that's where it all starts, that feeling, and then it grows, and then you're able to see more. And we're going to get there. I promise. We're going to be doing a lot of investigations in this neighborhood, but you tell them what all of that extra information. It's not extraneous, son. I promise.
Okay. Well, then from my feelings, I went there very, I wouldn't say worried, but maybe a little giddy that I knew would probably never pan out. Getting there, there was a heavy background count, but I was very disappointed I couldn't see people. Even when you pointed them out to me, I saw barely a form, which I was disappointed in, but I was glad when you expressed what you saw better, which made me chuckle at the whole idea of them wobbling away from us or something. And I could definitely tell feelings about the place. Like, there was generally a very depressing atmosphere about it, but I was mainly caught up in the fact that I was sad that I couldn't see anything. I don't remember if I could hear anything, because I know obviously I couldn't hear them saying anything, but I have a vague memory of hearing like one thing, and I don't remember if it was like you and me went, "Oh, what was that?" or something like that. But
that was the sound that led us to the old woman where she was in that old cell. It sounded like a whoop, and we were the only ones who heard it.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? Yeah, Grandpa didn't even respond, and that was loud.
I don't remember the old woman, but I do remember that now that you mention it. Yeah, the whole whoop.
I told you about the old woman. It was a whoop, like someone freaking out about something, and we went to the right, and I told you this officially isn't fun anymore because I told you what the lady was saying.
And I remember that I was like, why didn't he hear it? I remember we got to the car, and it was like
your mother didn't even hear it. Eric
yeah.
didn't even hear it. It was something that it was directed our way.
Mm-hmm. It was very odd. We get there and it's like, and everything's very like boring, and then we get to that, and it's like, okay, that's a lot more interesting. And then we eventually go to leave, and Grandpa's like, there's nothing here, or something along those lines, and we end up leaving, and I found it very funny, but I couldn't say that. Even with that, I wouldn't say that it was the most thrilling outing ever.
How would you rate it next to what happened at that place? Okay, I'm going to say the name, Charlie Brown's. People can go and try and find this ghost on their own. I don't care.
Honestly, I don't. Charlie Brown's was very. There was after effects of it with Mom.
Yeah.
But honestly, I wouldn't say it was as big to me because I didn't see the creature. You did, and at best, I picked up Eric and I went to you.
Did you sense anything?
No. In fact, that's what I was very weirded out about. I didn't feel anything that negative there.
Now, here's the reason why. For those of you who are wondering how a gifted person can completely miss something. He was more focused on catching up to his little brother, who had decided at his age that the new game is run away from mommy and daddy and brother because it's funny to watch them streaking to try and catch up and catch me. His mind was focused on little brother running around inside of a shop that has lots of sharp edges. And so he ended up chasing him to catch him because so your mind was focused on that.
And as well as, even if it wasn't Eric, I wasn't exactly focused on anything spiritual because I was focused on looking at all the dolls around. So even if it wasn't Eric, I wasn't exactly
paying attention to the metaphysical.
Yeah.
Not many people would in a shop like this. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that the energy coming off of it was as strong as it was, I wouldn't have even tried to look and find it. That was the disconcerting part about that event.
Mm-hmm.
So, last minute questions, anybody, and then we'll wrap this up because we started late. Anyone? Crickets. Trevor, do you ever feel any of the, like your mother can hear the trees talking and sometimes to each other? Do you ever? I remember you saying you could hear that once.
Oh, the trees talking. I don't exactly remember that. But when I say I feel hear things talking, it's mainly through feelings and through bits that I can't discern between whether I'm just making the stuff up in my head or if it's actually things talking to me. Just so I generally go off of feelings things give me.
Right.
Because I remember a long time ago, the mulberry tree out there was definitely like buddy with that when I would climb up into it, and I remember Elm was generally like sad about things, which I can understand when you have this big gaping hole with leaking junk out of it, but I don't know if that was just it.
It was, but remember, once we fixed it, that stopped. I figured out the way to solve the blight that it had was hydrogen peroxide. It took 2 years of hydrogen peroxide.
Just to let you know, Trevor, the way you explain about how you see things right now is pretty much the same way I sense things. Like, it goes on and it's like a projection in my mind. It's also a projection in my mind eye. So I have to. I go through a series of checks within myself to make sure that that's how I can discern what I'm actually seeing is not my imagination
Mm.
and something that's actually going on. So no, it sounds like you are on the right track. And I know you can hear from your dad until he's blue in the face, but you know
Mhm.
what? It's exactly how I do it all the time. And then what
Same
usually
here.
happens is it all comes together in like a composite image, and it fills that image in.
Right.
Mhm.
As well as the voices. You're right now worrying that you're making stuff up in your head. That's clairaudience. You're just like me. You're clairvoyant, clairaudient. You're going to hear and see stuff. And when things manifest itself or accidentally you catch view of them when they don't intend it, that's me. You're basically describing me at your age. Actually, younger because I kept you so sheltered.
Mm.
But you're right on track. And I've been telling you that for, I don't know, ever, just like Joel said. I know it means more to hear it from him than it does from me because I'm the voice that
I'm an
constantly keeps
outside
saying the same
source.
thing. And he's the outside guy who's going to tell you exactly what you need to hear. I promise you. And the trees talking and stuff, that's 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
Aisha's daughter is hearing it too.
They're so talkative. Some trees are so talkative. It's like,
Some of them just
I
sing.
gotta
Like,
go.
yeah, they're
I see you later, and they're still talking in the background.
yeah. It's like Elm now. She basically just hums to herself. And since we healed her, she's brought in hummingbirds. She protects them.
Mhm.
She's a completely, and she's now popping up all over the place, going, "I'm so happy!" And she's brought up trees in other people's backyards.
Mm.
And since we made her healthy, yeah, it's really funny. The repercussions of being good to these trees are that they love you forever. And she's once we had her healed, taking a picture under her was next to impossible because of the fact that her energy, her aura, just literally makes the camera backflash. It's incredible to see. We have pictures of it. We tried taking picture after picture after picture after picture, and there was only one time that it came out, and that was after asking her nicely if she could allow a picture to go through. But it's funny because there's pictures of me and Trevor under the tree we tried to take, Adrian under the tree. Finally asked, if it would be okay if Karen took a picture under the tree. And it's like, okay, Karen can take a picture under the tree. Picture successful. It's amazing. And when you step under her branches, when the temperature is 108, 110 here, it'll be 78 under her branches. That's how grateful she is. So when you treat something well, even metaphysically, it will treat you well back. All right.
Mm.
So we're going to close this out now. And since Sonia doesn't have any last minute questions, ha ha ha. So thank you all very much. If you like what you see here, please comment, like, subscribe. And if you want to get notifications when we're making shows, which is infrequent, I grant you, but going to be more frequent now because we're with Trevor on board, we can get stuff done quickly. Smash that bell icon so that you can get informed the instant that we go live. Join us on Twitter. My Twitter feed feeds out all the latest stuff. I'm not allowed to mention other platforms because otherwise they will remove this show, but we are on other platforms as well. And you can look us up on many of your favorites. We're looking forward to doing a podcast at some point in time, and we will be finishing out the series of the true life stories of the paranormal in Hollywood. Pardon me. The next one is going to be on the Enfield haunting, which is a big one. Don't know if any of you have read about it or looked at it, but I entreat you to take a look and see. It's one of the most amazing pieces of evidence ever caught. Let's see. I guess that's pretty much it. No, we don't have a Patreon anymore. You'll see that I took it down. We will not be doing anything merchandise based for quite some time. But, you know, if you like what you see here, please refer us to your friends. We're here to solve problems. What we didn't get a chance to go into was that Trevor has been with me for problem solving for at least one person who is a politician in California, which I'm not allowed to mention their name because otherwise they will sue the living daylights out of me for actually coming and saving their family, because that's fair. And thank you very much, and stay blessed until next time we gather. Goodbye.